Good evening, everyone. This is the Air Conservation Commission meeting. It is Thursday, May 11th, 2023. And, commissioners in attendance this evening are Jana Maya as member, George Bacon as member, Jessica Gino as member clerk, Mark Phillips, vice chair, and myself, John Schmallenberger, as chair, Heather Hampson as our conservation agent. Welcome to you all. And do we have confirmation of agenda?
Yep, all set.
Motion to approve the agenda as written.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Passes unanimously. Approval of meeting minutes for April 27th, 2023. Anyone have any changes? Comments? Criticisms?
Down to 3 pages on that one.
Yeah.
It was a short meeting.
Pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, no comments.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes for April 27th, 2023 as written.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. Public input. Anyone out there in the audience who is not on the agenda that would like to make a comment or a question? Nope. Okay. Seeing none, then we will move on. Our first item this evening is the request for determination of applicability that we will open under the Wetlands Bylaw and under the Ayer Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Said one of those wrong.
Wetlands Protection Act.
That's it. Thank you. The Ayer Department of Public Works for Pulpit Rock drainage and pathway improvements at the end of Marshall Street and 3rd Street. You gonna speak for?
Yep. I'm the town engineer, Matt, so I've been here once, round two.
Yep, good.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
You seem a bit underdressed. I'm kidding completely.
You want me to explain the project?
Yes, please.
Yep. So there's a undeveloped area at the corner of 3rd and Marshall Streets, and there's no stormwater controls. Normally we have drain inlets or some sort of drainage best management practice to capture stormwater, treat it before it ultimately goes in a pond. We've noticed erosion. It's a dirt road leading down there, so after heavy rains, there's often you can visibly see the erosion that's happened. And we obviously, with Grove Pond, have some challenges with nutrient pollution. So we're proposing to install a bioretention basin at that corner. And also install some curbing to help capture the stormwater before it ultimately goes into the bioretention basin. Install a pathway leading to the bridge. There's some semblance of a path there, but we're looking to formally construct a stone dust path. And also some small improvements to the bridge. The railing's pretty much gone, so looking to replace the bridge railing.
All right. Commissioners have any questions?
What's the distance to Grove Pond? Estimate.
So we're in the 100-foot buffer, definitely.
Yeah.
The plan shows edge of the bioretention basin just within the 25-foot buffer. So we're very close, but there is a pretty high gradient between that area and Grove Pond. So any excavation in this area, we probably wouldn't be dealing with groundwater issues, the height differential.
Yep. questions, George?
We have a few of these buyer retention basins in town, so if you're, I'm sure you're familiar with them. I'm learning where they are as I'm going along, but I'd say we're fairly ahead of the game installing these. It's actually becoming a requirement with our stormwater permit to, again, this upcoming year, use phosphorus and actually have a project to do that, which would be, this would be an eligible project.
And you're removing some trees?
2 trees.
The 2 trees on the edge of the bioretention basin,
Yeah.
they have to be removed. So one of them has a pretty good lean to it. I'm not an arborist, so I can't definitively say it's in good health or poor health, but we tried a couple of different options laying out the bioretention basin. And the property lines are a bit deceiving out there. It's very wide open, but in terms of what the town can actually build on, it's fairly constrained, and we have some underground infrastructure, like a 12-inch water main and a sewer forest main. So where the bioretention basin is shown, it really isn't a better option.
Has the homeowner expressed any interest in having those trees replaced since they're right on that property line?
We haven't spoke. I know one of the homeowners reached out to the previous director a couple of years ago and actually trying to put forth this project. I don't know if it was this particular homeowner,
Yeah.
but we would definitely do like a site visit with the abutters before, just because we're working right next to them, and I'm sure they have some good input.
What's going to be on the interpretive panel?
Yeah, so we actually have one at a DPW. We have a rain garden there, and it's just a diagram showing what the bioretention basin does, how it filters out pollutants. So that's another aspect of our stormwater permit is public education, so that helps us satisfy that requirement.
Any questions, Jen?
No.
Mark?
No, I'm good.
Jess?
No.
One more?
Oh.
Y'all want to go out there and take a look?
Have you been out, Heather?
I haven't been all the way to that side. I've only been to the other side of the bridge of Grove Pond, but I do know that the side of the slope is exactly the same on both sides, and it's steep and higher.
Yeah.
But I haven't been to that end of the road.
Want to go out there and take a site, or take a look? George is thrilled.
I mean, it's obviously seen as an improvement, right?
It is, absolutely. Think we need to?
I defer to George.
I don't think so, unless we happen to be doing sidewalks that day.
Anyway,
Yeah.
well, we have one more coming up this evening. We might want to do a sidewalk, right?
Mhm.
At least one.
At least one. Okay, here's my situation. I've got something that's coming Saturday at 9:30. Following week, I'm gone. So it's either you all can go without me, which would break my heart.
It would ours as well.
Yes, ours as well. So,
Or we could go at 8 in the morning, right? Or,
or we could go at 8 in the morning.
I have yoga till 8:30.
Hmm?
I could be there at 8:40.
8:40.
or we could go without you.
Or you can go without me. That'd be fine as well. Want to do it for this coming Saturday? Can you get around?
Yeah,
Are you available this Saturday?
I think so.
George?
Yep.
You are, Jess. So you want to just do it at,
9 o'clock?
make it easy, 9 o'clock? This coming Saturday?
Okay.
And meet just right there at, where?
The Saturday?
This Saturday?
The end of Marshall Street.
Hmm?
Probably at the end of Marshall Street.
Park at the end of Marshall Street?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Third Street, right? They both come up together.
It's kind of confusing, the
Yeah.
street layout there. It's not really much of a street,
Okay.
Third Street, but
I don't know.
So
I
what's
like
the
it on
date?
other side.
Today's
13th. 13th.
Marshall Street, Third Street.
Alrighty, sidewalk this coming May 13th at 9 a.m. at the end of Marshall Street.
alright, sounds good.
See you then.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
Thanks.
That's it.
Oh, when do you want to do the project?
We have a lot of time between now and when we need a project like this to
Okay.
be completed, really like a calendar year. But obviously, the sooner the better, like anything else.
This construction season, they're capital funds, so that's not tied into this. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next item this evening is the public hearing notice of intent, DEP file number 100-0484. That we will open under the Wetlands Protection Act and also underneath the Air Wetlands bylaw. Reconstruction of the pump house on Wright Road.
Right way. It's right way.
Great way.
Oh, it
Right
says
Way.
Wright Road on here.
Does it say it on there? I know in the notice I put right way. I know that. I have it wrong on the agenda. Just but the public hearing notice was correct.
Yeah.
But I double check it. I'm like, wait, right road? No.
Yeah. Not that one.
I missed one, so I apologize, but it is right way.
Right way road.
Hi, Dan.
Off of right
See you.
road, so it works, I guess.
Is it right way road? Or is it right way?
It's right way off of right road.
Yeah,
Or is it right way road?
no, just right away. Yeah.
Hard enough to say.
Right way road.
Yeah, good evening. So I have Ty and Bond here. This is Audrey Starbird. She's our
Hi.
consultant doing the engineering design for the project, so she'll be speaking a little bit too. So just a little background from my end, from DPW. So this project, it's up around Sandy Pond off of Wright Way. It's one of the dead-end roads off of the Main Street Wright Road. So our sewer collection system in the area actually flows down to the ponds, and we have a handful of pump stations down there, right near the pond. And one of them is the Wright Way pump station. So the station was originally installed in 1990, and it's a pneumatic ejector, so that's kind of like a bladder system, like when you have a water pressure tank in your house. So after a certain amount of sewage comes in, it pumps it up through a pneumatic ejection compressed in the tank, up in a force main and back up to Wright Road where it goes by gravity. So that it's in pretty poor condition, end of its useful life. It's got severe corrosion of the piping, the valves, the compressor needs to be replaced, and also, like many of the streets out there, there's poor drainage around that site and the end of the road. So as part of this project, we would address drainage as well. So there's easements in place, and you can see that on the plans as part of the project. But you know, ahead of time, proactively, we have met with the homeowners on Wright Way, and especially the two abutting the project, just to make sure we're, you know, taking into account their input. They're the ones who live next to this. Even though the town has the easement, it kind of can do what it wants to its sewer pump station. And so with that, I'll let Audrey talk a little bit more about the technical and the design and what it's going to look like when we're complete.
Yeah, so we're transitioning styles of pump stations, so it'll no longer be the ejector station. It'll be one of the more technologies that's kind of used in a lot of pump stations these days. It's a submersible pump station, so it requires the wet well and a valve vault. Our hope is to use the existing our design is showing we're using the existing structure that's below grade, taking the top off of it to minimize disturbance of the area, and then basically installing everything for the new pump station that needs to be installed, and then we'll basically put a top back on top of it, bringing that up to grade. So that will kind of all be enclosed in the existing layout of the existing structure that exists on site currently. We're also going to be pulling out the electrical, and we're going to try and pull that away a little bit further from the station, just to keep it out of the 100-year buffer, plus 3 feet, to give us a little room there for the
100-year flood, yep.
Yes, yep. Yep, so, yeah, and then we're gonna be adding, as far as the site goes, the pump station itself will be, above grade, but just at grade, at the flood elevation, and then it will, we're gonna put in a access drive, and that's gonna be using, like a GeoWeb material we have proposed, so it'll be filled in by grass, but allow access for the DPW and the sewer department to get down there and be able to access their station a little bit easier.
Is that like a solid structure with holes in it that
It's
grass
like
grows?
Yeah, kind of. It's not. I know
Honeycomb or
I've seen them.
Yeah, I've seen the concrete ones that are a little bit more pronounced, I guess. These ones are more of a,
It's got kind of thinner.
yeah, it has a thinner wall.
GeoWeb.
The
So
ones that are like the honeycomb that like collapse down and you fall
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
Those
Yeah.
are neat.
yeah, so it just adds a little bit more stability. So driving on what now is a lawn, it'll help.
And the grass can grow in between the web, right?
Yep.
So are you just pushing it into the grass that's there, or are you going to be excavating out? How deep?
We'll be excavating out just a little bit. Probably, I think we have it in.
It's on a detail, but you have
Yeah,
to
it's
excavate
on the
down to make
detail.
sure it drains out properly and has a good foundation.
Yeah, and it
for
has
that.
a nice sub base.
Right. Yeah,
You're going to scrape out the dirt, let's say 6-8 inches down, with some sort of stone, pebble, whatever, as a base, then the expandable on top.
Yep, and then
dirt,
fill that in with,
grass.
yep. Yeah, and we'll be redoing a little bit of the site grading there as well, as mentioned, and when we're talking with the homeowners, you know, big issues that we saw there is that they've had a lot of erosion come down onto that property and basically kind of fill in the property a little bit, so we'll be bringing the existing manhole structure that's now buried, what, 1.5 feet?
yeah, there's a sewer manhole, yep,
So
just
bringing that
upstream.
back up to grade, and just kind of, you know, cleaning up the site there.
And then you said the electrical's currently underground to it, I assume, correct?
Correct, yeah, it's currently underground to the pump station. The electrical exists in the pump station, or in the structure itself right now, but we'll be bringing that out. Further
Yeah, up
away.
above grade.
Yep.
And that'll allow us to plug into it with our generator as well.
Mm-hmm.
And all the controls will be up above grade as well.
Okay, so you're putting some sort of like a meter panel or something?
Cabinet, yeah.
Yeah, so there'll be a cabinet, and that will have the meter and everything. I think there's an existing
Or is it metered at
meter
the pole already?
Yeah, there's an existing cabinet out there, and the meter's on the cabinet. It's located
So
kind of
fenced-in
in
area,
a
yeah.
fenced-in area. It's basically just a big square of a fenced-in area. There's an existing vent.
That's right?
Yep, right
Yeah.
in there.
Okay.
Yep, that's where that is.
Okay, so you got an underground riser already out here coming into that spot from the pole?
Yes, from the pole down. Yep, and then the meter exists inside there
Hmm.
currently. It's kind of hard to open these days.
And then it's underground inside this fence into the...
Into there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so how are you gonna supply this again?
Basically, we're gonna take the electrical, pull it underground, and just take it. There's some controls and stuff in the current station.
Yeah.
We're gonna pull all the electrical out and above, and take it a little bit further away just to keep it out of the flood zone.
So are you taking this little fenced-in shed, for lack of a better term, taking that down, or?
No, we're also going to be installing a passive odor control system to help alleviate any potential odors. And we're have, I guess, the intent of kind of keeping some sort of shed like it is existing and installing the odor control system there, because it's basically a 55-gallon drum. It's not
Yeah.
pleasing to the eye.
So yeah, the idea would be to keep that for screening, like remove and reset, or if we have to replace if it's in such poor condition.
Yeah.
So the tank is in the shed right now, or?
This odor control tank,
Yeah.
we do not have one right now with the
Okay.
pneumatic system. You don't, but with the wet well, it needs
Okay.
to vent, and so what you can do is have a 55-gallon. It's essentially a drum, and it has carbon in it, and the vent goes through there to capture the odors and contaminants from the vent, and so then you don't have any noxious odors around.
Just with the residents being so close, we figured that was a nice idea to prevent and mitigate any potential odors that may.
How big is the structure itself? That big, it's like a concrete box.
This-
right?
The concrete box that exists out
15
there, I
by
want to
20
say
or something?
it's like 13 by 9.
13 by 9,
13 feet by,
1333 by 933.
And that's all, that's good shape? The concrete box is in good shape?
The concrete structure itself,
Yeah.
is in good condition. Yeah, it's
Right.
for being that close to groundwater, I presume is pretty shallow there. So, but it's in good condition. Yep.
I saw in one of the pictures some black PVC. Is that underneath the road? or
So
what
that
is
was
Oh, that's the
something the homeowner had put in to alleviate the groundwater issues that were happening up near his driveway area.
Gotta fix that?
Yeah, so the plan is to put in like a water quality swale, a grass swale along the new access way to head down to the water. And up at the top, would there be some kind of
Yeah, so this is an
stormwater?
older set after
Yeah,
we had met with the
this one's older. I
property.
don't know if they might have a
Yeah, so
better
that
one.
property owner came to visit
Yeah.
me the other day.
Yep. Yeah, they had mentioned they actually like shovel
Yeah, gravel,
all the
whatever
gravel,
comes
everything
down.
that comes down the road. So our thought after meeting with them was maybe to install some sort of structure to collect, and then
Yeah.
and go from there. So that was kind of the intent of that. That way we'd keep the swale open, but at the same time collect a lot of the silt and gravel. And I know DPW was talking about trying to clean that out.
Right,
more
we've added
replacement.
to our maintenance list. Right.
There seem to be a lot of those roads that head down to Sandy Pond, all in that area, seem to have that same issue.
Right, yeah, and that was kind of captured in the pond study from 2016 and about stormwater improvements there. So it's something on our radar that we
Yeah, in the
consider, even though they are, private
Right.
roads, but
Yep.
we can do maintenance and items like that, yeah.
That would be nice.
Yeah,
Let's treat the pond. Let's take care of the roads. Let's.
right.
One road at a time, we're just gonna improve everything. Is this gonna have to be plowed, and if so, having the bioretention, is that gonna be an issue?
Yeah, so that is a challenge. So what I'm thinking is gonna have to happen is we're gonna have to, when there is a significant amount of snow, it's probably gonna have to get hauled out,
Okay.
just because there's nowhere to put it.
Yeah, because you obviously can't push towards the pump station, correct? So how are
Right.
and you can't really back drag it because you're gonna then drag out and pull on your.
Yeah, so it's gonna be tricky. So I gotta talk to our guys about exactly what we do
You're
there.
gonna have to have your senior guy doing that one.
Yeah, but we'll probably have to be taking that out
Okay.
on occasion, just to maintain access to that
Okay.
site and get it out of there, yeah.
I'll get questions from the audience in a little bit. I'll get to you in a little bit.
Okay.
Yep. Anything else?
I think I'm good for now.
Yeah.
Any commissioners have questions?
How long a project will it be once you start?
It'll be a couple months. It's our goal right now is to hopefully strategize and get it constructed during the winter season. So it'll be a nice project for the winter time, as well as not impacting the local residents' access to the ponds or anything like that.
So how long do you think during that process you'd have to have the temporary pump station in operation?
We're trying to keep it as minimal as possible. We have some stipulations in our contract to make sure that the contractor gets the precast structures and everything in place and has everything they need to basically build the pump station before they, with material delays and everything, I'm sure you've heard things kind of have been delaying. So we want to make sure that they have everything in place before they go ahead and do that. It's in the best interest of them too, because I mean, it costs them money
Yeah.
to keep pumping that and everything.
Yeah,
as
we
well.
can write the bid so that
Yep.
they want to get that temporary out of there as quick as they can. Yeah.
That'll be run by a generator?
Yeah, the temporary.
Yes, the
yeah.
temporary. Yep.
Oh, is that one of those generators that's gonna make a huge amount of noise constantly? or-
It depends on the size of them. I would think for this small of a pump station, it shouldn't be that large, but also kind of depends on what the contractors have on hand
Right,
as well.
and we'll
I hate
get to
say.
review what he's gonna use.
Yeah, they'll-
So we'll,
Yep,
it'll be stipulated in the specs. And-
correct.
And to be one that is not
Yeah.
very noisy, like not too large, right?
Yeah, I can't imagine with the flows at the station, seeing that it should be that large. But we also have in our contract a stipulation to review the bypass pumping plan, so they have to send that and submit that as well before we can approve that.
Sir, you had a question? You want to state your name and then give us your question?
My name's Keith Henderson. I live at 2 Wright Way, where this pump station is.
Right, yes, sir.
There's a number of things I'm curious when they say, oh, we don't need that big a generator. If you know electricity, you understand that the electricity demands dictate what size generator you will get. If your pumps draw 30 amps, you need at least a 30 amp generator that can maintain that capacity without surge. So when you say, okay, how big is it? There's 480 feeding down into that pump station as far as I know. Either that or it's 3-phase 208 currently. If you're going to direct pump stake energy, electricity, significant amount. When you get a generator, you're not going to get a little generator like you put for somebody's house to put there to supply electricity. That's not going to cut it. 5,000 watt generator isn't going to cut it. At that, those are pretty noisy. Another situation, I'm wondering the need of the town to plow all the way down there to have a road. Currently, you can drive there. You can drive right down there now. There's nothing impeding a truck from driving out of that station as is. The need for a road, I don't understand because it's significant impact to the pond. Because everything, when we put a road bed, all the runoff's now going to head down into the pond, as opposed to being slowed down and sinking into the ground above. In 28 years I've lived there, one time the town needed to get down to that station, and that's when it flooded because it was built below the 100-year flood mark initially. Like I said, I don't understand why it is the town want that there needs to be a road there. It is a way, it's a slope downhill, so therefore it doesn't get muddy. I drive my vehicle down to pull leaves and stuff out every year. Never had a problem. When the town needs to, they can, and like I say, at this point, whenever the town needs to get down there, they drive down in the winter. If they have a situation where they need to get there, the town owns several bucket loaders that go down and move the snow. At that, you're saying that they have to bucket loader it out any which way. The other environmental concern is if you use pavers when they plow, what's going to happen to those pavers? If you look at the road that the plowing has destroyed in the past 10 years, and the pavers are going to be any different? No, all those pavers are going to end up washing down into the pond.
Well, it's not actually a paver. per se.
Right, it's a geo-web system. So first question, why do we need to get down there? There's a few reasons. Number one, if there's an emergency, we need to be able to access the station. We need to be able to change out a pump if something happens. We can't drive down there right now with our big heavy trucks and our generator. We'll rut up this area and potentially get stuck. And it would probably be tough to get down that initial hump, in my opinion, as well. I wouldn't have our trucks driving somewhere where there's no road base, like I was saying. We would just rut right into the grass area and probably cause more of an issue. So we're trying to be, somewhat cognizant, not just putting a pavement down there. We want to put something that's environmentally friendly, pervious, to be able to access the site and try to blend in and not harm the pond area, is what we're trying to do. As far as the pavers go and plowing, I can get some information on this, but I know these are used at various sites, these grass paved 2 systems, which are heavily trafficked, and I can get some information on plowing and what that.
And can you answer about
causes.
the electrical issue? I mean, what's the alternative to using a generator?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm Tom Mahan, I'm with Time Bond also. I just wanted to point out, the proposed electric service for the station is 150 amp service. Is only, the horsepower right now are proposed like the 2 10 horsepower pumps. So to kind of put it in perspective, the electrical service is about what you would see in a single family house. So the generator requirement would not be a large unit that would be needed to run the station.
I'm sorry, you said 746 horsepower?
What's that?
746 horsepower? What did, about two?
No, the
210.
the pumps are 2 10 horsepower pumps.
Oh, 210 horsepower, sorry.
And those are our larger proposed,
Okay.
Yeah, so the size of the electrical service as far as amps are concerned is 150 amps, which, a new single-family house right now would probably have a 200 amp service. So just to kind of put things a little bit in perspective.
And would those run 24/7?
they wouldn't be running, I don't believe they'd be running 24/7. They'd kick on when the pumps kick on. So it's
right.
kind of on like high flow times.
It's going to kind of operate the way it does now. We're creating a clear well within the pump station, so the difference is that all the flow will come into the station, build up, trigger the alarm, and the pumps will pump it off. Basically the difference is now, as Dan explained, is that there is no open clear well right now. It's just the pumps just eject it out up through the force main. So it's almost like a similar process to what's there now, just a different type of technology.
Okay. You're saying the pumps, if I read this correctly, the pumps 80 gallons a minute? The new ones?
I think that's
Like that?
right.
I think that's what I
Yeah.
read.
About right.
But again, they're just going to pump to empty out the clear well. So
Yeah.
it's not running, and it'll all depend on what the demand is
Right.
coming in.
Do
Right.
you have a sense of what that demand is? I mean, how many gallons a day goes through that station?
That was on the old report. I think it's
Stop
30
flushing my toilet.
gallons in the area.
8,500 gallons per day. Current service area, average GPD 8,500.
So what's the number of times per day that would typically turn on, I guess?
And what's the supply? And what's the capacity of the tank before it kicks in?
I don't know.
I have all these calculations.
Just
Yeah.
curious as to how many.
I don't know how often it is, but, right, we could,
I'm just trying to get a sense of how
Get
often this thing's
that.
gonna come on.
Yeah, we have cycle times. I know we've calculated them for the future flows and everything.
right. And this is, okay.
It's
yeah.
gonna be for the existing flows that are connected, because I know there's several properties in the area that aren't currently connected.
Right.
So we can definitely run those calculations.
I was just curious.
But-
Sir, you had another
You're
question
gonna-
or comment?
If you're gonna run them to have them for the future, so the ones that are on there,
Yeah.
just for Title V, if they do fail, they have to connect it. It's available, so I would do both, just so we have an idea of what future would be as well.
What's the current pumping capacity of that station?
The existing
The
station?
existing station?
That is 34. Do you have it?
I don't have it with me. I know exactly where it is on my computer.
Yeah. I mean, we could get that.
Well, my train of thought is that you're saying it currently pumps 8,500 gallons a day, average. That's for the existing houses. If you double the number of houses that are there, when the Stratton Hill project goes in, it's gonna double the number of houses that are on it. So instead of pumping however many times a day it pumps currently,
It's going to be a different setup. The wet well has more capacity, so it's going to be different than like the existing pods and what's there now. In the future, you're going to have the wet well with a bigger capacity in that wet well. So it's, I mean, we could figure how much it would run, but if it was at max capacity, but
Are you talking about the amount of capacity for the sewer coming out of there? Because Stratton Hill's not going to be going through this particular.
it could.
It could?
I mean, we haven't seen their plans yet, but
Oh.
there's potential, yeah.
Are you designing it with that in mind?
I mean, yeah, we're designing it to have as much capacity as we can, and this is what we we use submersibles. It's redundant for us, they're much more efficient, we don't use pneumatic ejectors. I mean, the other option is a suction lift, those are noisy, it's above ground. So, it's,
So is this the pump station that captures everything further down Wright Road from Wright Way? Or
I don't,
are there any other pump stations further down?
there's Hedgeway.
That's before
There's
it,
one
right?
Wright Road.
Yeah, where?
It's above ground.
Yeah.
And I think it's, I don't remember the exact address, but I think it's not far from Wright
But I assume everything
Yeah.
goes from there's Kohler Place at the end of Wright Road. The direction of sewage flow would be from that direction towards Snake Hill Road, right?
Correct.
Right.
It is, so there's a few areas where you got pump stations right way. There's one at Hedgeway. and
So
I
this would be
believe
the furthest, but this would be the furthest one closest to,
I think
Kohler
it is,
Place.
without looking at the
Yeah.
map.
so that would
Yeah.
have to take in Stratton Hill.
Okay.
That's what I'm.
Your comment, sir?
I had a meeting with my neighbors and these folks here, the other week. Matt had mentioned that one of the criteria one of the reasons for this was to increase the capacity. Unless you're counting Stratton Hill development,
I get it, thanks.
there might be one or two buildable lots left past me on Wright Road. It's pretty much landlocked. The capacity wouldn't be an issue if you were not counting Stratton Hill.
The capacity is really kind of besides the point. It's reaching its end of life and needs to be replaced, so.
Well, I
Right.
understand that. I know, I've lived there, I watched it flood
Okay.
back in 1996. I know that, yes, it needs to be upgraded. The questions aren't, should it be upgraded? The questions surrounding that are, how should it be upgraded?
Anytime we put forth as much funding, especially this bond, this could be a couple $100,000 improvement project. I think it's always worthwhile to push capacity and know what the future holds. So it'd be a terrible afterthought to have to go back after the fact and have additional improvements into
Okay, this then goes back to my initial question earlier. what's the capacity of the current station versus the capacity of what you're designing for? And are you talking, oh, we're increasing capacity by 10 or 20%, or we're increasing capacity by 50 or 100%?
I mean, we can get that info, and respectively, does this impact the permitting so much would be my question as well. But we can get that information.
Yeah, I'm just, like I say, I'm curious, because if it is for Stratton Hill, then shouldn't Stratton Hill Development be pitching in, because they would have to elsewise construct the pump station at the pipe that's already been buried into their property?
Respectfully, there isn't a pipe already buried into their property, and we would have that, you know, we're the Public Works, and we have that data on our sewer system, so that's not been connected. And I think we've kind of laid out, you know, we typically we have the same footprint. We don't use pneumatic pumps anymore. We use submersible. It's the way we would go anyways, so I don't.
And sometimes too, submersible pumps, and I believe for this job, and I can go back and confirm, but size-wise, they have to patch the 3-inch solid, so they can't get reduced down to too small of a size station. So there are some requirements as far as the pump goes as well.
Back to the concern you had about driving over the property the way it is, with vehicles sinking in. I've had, I'm trying to remember the year now, when I took down large pine trees in that front side of the yard, and there were 2 large tree trucks, 6 3-axle trucks with booms, and they were driving around down there. Yeah, I had to go fix the
But you got to
swale.
select what time of the year and when they went in, correct?
That was
The DPW does not have that option. If they have to get there in an emergency, they will go when they have to go.
That was in the spring when I had those trucks down there. The wettest
But
time
you
of the
did-
year.
Okay. So
I'm just
was
saying.
it soupy that when you walked on it, like you were sinking in with your hand, but you still let them go back in?
No.
Probably not.
It never gets so soupy that, like I say, it slopes down to the pond. The reason soil gets soupy is because water sits. Like I said, how many times in the past, since that station's been in, how many times has the town needed to get down there? Station was put in 1990, to the best of my knowledge.
We'll need access is all I can say, and we need a
Yeah.
proper access
I don't think
at
it's
any
really-
time to get to that point.
I don't think it has anything to do with our permitting here.
My question isn't, do you need access? The question is, since 1990,
Proper access.
proper access. If you need to get down there, you can get there. You're bringing up these concerns that I'm saying, well, in the past, since 1990, you needed to get down there once, and you did. And you needed to, town drove down there. And now you're saying, well, we need to make a road there and all this, and plow it and everything, but if the station's working as designed.
We need to routinely go to the station every day, weekly at least. And we do that currently at the existing one, but we're able to just do that, walking down. But if there's an emergency, we have to get down there, for sure. Even with the existing station, and with the new one, we would have to get down.
That's what I'm trying to figure out, the difference between what's existing and what you're proposing in terms of access. You need access now, you have access.
And I think what DPW is probably trying to do here is to make sure that they don't have to be challenged in the future in the event that it is wet. They want to prepare for the future and plan for the future. That's what they do. So they're looking out and they're trying to say, okay, if I have to get in there with this size truck or that size truck, regardless of the time of year, I want to make sure that it's not going to sink. I'm not going to run up your property, right? Everything's going to be copacetic and they can get right in and out and take care of what they got to do. That's all they're trying to do.
My point
Low
is,
impacts.
I think we have your point.
okay,
But we'll go down there and take a look.
okay.
that agreeable?
Yep.
This coming Saturday? Would that work for anybody?
Yeah, after the other one?
Yep.
Okay.
9:30? Enough time?
Third and Marshall was 9 o'clock, right?
9
a.m.
o'clock.
Yep.
So we'll come down your way, 9:30 this coming Saturday. Take a look at the situation.
Just quickly, with regards to the road.
You're not gonna be driving down my way.
No.
Yeah.
You're not gonna
Park
park your
above.
cars on my way.
No.
Yeah.
So I happen to see on this page here,
Oh, yep.
That's over a half mile.
Oh, never mind.
it does say Hydro Grow Mix. Typically, when I see that, I'm assuming that's
Put park at Stratton.
seed,
People
or
do park.
grass seed encased in fertilizer.
No.
You don't want
Won't be
that.
that long.
Right, if we're right next to the pond.
Yep.
Yeah.
So just plain old grass seed, clover, whatever you want to put down,
That's what I figured.
but
Just
nothing
try
in
to-
fertilizer.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That far.
Crabgrass grows nice.
Yeah, crabgrass.
Quarter mile.
Because you can park along Stratton Hill, on the right roadside, but we off.
Thanks.
Anything else?
No, because I
Okay,
have to
so
go
we
over
will-
to Marshall and Third. But you know what
We,
we
meaning you, will.
could do is also on our way back from Marshall and Third, park at the town beach, and then just use one vehicle to go the rest of the way.
Yeah. Figure that out.
We'll figure it.
I'll figure that part out.
All right.
Thank you very much for showing up. Appreciate it, you guys.
So Dan, are you coming on Saturday?
I'm gonna try to make it. I can
Expect you to be as well dressed.
I'll try.
If you can make it, I'll
I'll be in my
plan on it.
coaching uniform.
Kidding.
I'll be coaching soccer.
Yeah.
The bubble, but there's no like spring water, that's in the great hall.
Is there a motion to continue the public hearing notice of intent, DEP file number 100-0484,
Complaints for a while is that we need,
the reconstruction of the pump station on Right Way
But he has one in their office.
until our next meeting, which will be May 25th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. Take that up again. Alrighty. That ran longer. Our next item this evening is a public hearing request for abbreviated notice of intent, DEP file number 100-0444, Ayer Solar 2B, GPR. Gentlemen,
How are you?
good, thank you. How are you?
Very good, thanks.
All right, got enough chairs?
Yeah, we're good.
Good.
Get all the names.
Yep.
You want to set up?
Can we get all of your names, please, for the minutes?
Sure, my name is Nick Pauling, Goldsmith, Preston, Greenwell. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
Second one down, please.
Wait, this one?
Yes, please.
I'm Adam Costa with the firm of Mead, Tallerman and Costa. We've been before your commission before, represent Ayer Solar 2 and have throughout this permitting process that began in the pre-COVID days, the good old days.
That was a while ago, huh?
Rohit Garg with Ayer Solar 2.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again.
Yes, sir. And you are as a guest. Very good. Okay. Didn't want to leave anybody out.
So would you like us to introduce it, or do you want to read a notice? I don't know how you'd like to start, but we can tell you why we're here.
Please do.
You could open the public hearing. Did you do that?
I thought I did.
Oh, okay. Just making sure. I might have missed it when I was standing up and doing that.
Oh, did I miss it?
Just making sure. Other departments I have to check.
So as you can see on the screen, and I'm going to hand it over to Nick pretty quickly here because this is not my area of expertise, but we were before you and we were before the planning board back in 2018, 2019, seeking approval for a solar project. The solar project itself actually wasn't the entire focus of the review by the planning board. Much of that review focused on, of course, the access, which was a somewhat challenging access to the site. And really, when we came before the Conservation Commission, that was the real focus of the commission's review of the project as well. Project has been under construction for some time now, pursuant to both the order of conditions it issued and the site plan approval. We were delayed a bit, you might remember, because there was an appeal filed by neighbors of our approval not required plan that the planning board endorsed, and so we had to litigate that for a short time. We ultimately settled with the neighbors and brought the matter back before your commission, and you issued a new order of conditions based upon slightly revised plans that addressed some of the concerns the neighbors had. However, through the course of the construction, not so much of the solar project or the arrays, but of the driveway access, there were some revisions made to it, field revisions that were made. I know that Nick has been before you at least once, sometime back in July or August, to bring you up to speed on the status of the construction that was underway. But in recent months, dating back to just before the holidays and then even after the first of the year, we've had some back and forth with Heather, who's expressed some concerns about the condition of the site. I hope Heather will agree that we've made some great progress in the past couple of months in addressing some of those concerns that were raised. But as a result of the process, it was identified that there were some deviations. And I will say that the deviations are really, from our perspective, more planning board deviations, in the sense that what we constructed wasn't exactly what was shown on the approved plans from the planning board. We have not altered and are not altering the limit of work that we had defined in the plans that we submitted to you and were approved by you a few years ago. But nevertheless, what's out there is not exactly what was shown on the approved plans. And so the request was made, I think, first from the planning board, and then we got a letter within a few days from your commission saying, we'd really like you to come back and to seek to amend your site plan approval and to request an amendment of the order of conditions, which of course you have the authority to do. We talked about it. At first we were, to be honest, we were a bit defensive and said, we don't have to come back for these modifications, but then we said, why are we gonna fight the fight? Let's just go back and show them what we've constructed. We'll answer questions that the commission and the planning board have, and hopefully get amendments of both of the permits. And so we were supposed to have opened the planning board proceedings 2 nights ago. They did open and they immediately continued to the 23rd of May, so we haven't had a substantive session of the planning board proceeding yet.
Unfortunately, that's not true. The public hearing has not been open yet. It won't be open until the 23rd.
Okay, they didn't open it. Okay, my understanding was they were going to, and that's fine. But either way, we'll be proceeding before them substantively on the 23rd. So we haven't made an appearance before them formally yet. We have been before them informally. And we're now before you for the opening of the request for an amendment. So that's the procedural history of where we've been and where we are. And with that, I'll turn it over to Nick to maybe provide some detail as to what's changed from the approved plans.
Sure, thank you very much. Green cards, just for this notification, for this meeting. So as Adam eloquently put it, you have a set of plans in front of you. It is a somewhat confusing plan, so we just want to touch upon that. What you're looking at as far as the plan is concerned is a revision that reflects 98% of what's out there right now. The direction that we got from the planning board in their request to modify it was to provide a site plan that be reviewed so that they could establish a line and then compare, or at least review what was actually will be constructed in the end. So the plan itself speaks very closely to the application that actually Kyle Bouchard from my office came before you. He came before you with a marked up PDF with the general idea of, we're removing this is going to get steeper, we'll remove these. Comparing that plan to the plan that we've submitted, it's very, very identical. Again, that's generalities, this is more technical. So there is some confusion from a standpoint on this plan. We've treated it as nothing's out there, everything is proposed, but as Lim Hutt Tiv from my office explained in the narrative of the cover letter, he tried to list out all the things that deviated specifically from the original plan, and then of those as well, what needs to continue to be constructed. Excuse me. To continue a little bit more on what Adam mentioned with the planning board, they have assigned a peer review agent whose scope was written by Mr. Archambault before he departed. We have had a site walk with 3 members of Green International, the peer reviewers. They're hoping to have some comments or at least some input for the planning board meeting on the 23rd. So I can generally go over the large pictures, the generality of the plan. This is the entire project as you see it on the screen. We have Washington Street here as it bends up and continues past Madigan Lane up to the hospital. So the entrance here, this is the limited use access drive that comes down and around. The culvert is located at this scale, I'm gonna guess right here. And then it comes around and this is the large infiltration basin as it climbs the hill with this trapezoidal area here being the solar array. To speak of the limit of work that's shown on here is actually the installed field limit of work. When we compare that to what was on the plan, it is nearly identical. There is one spot which I believe we touched upon in the narrative. We believe, unfortunately, due to the turnover on the project, again, I'm taking over for Mr. Bouchard. Joanne's no longer here either. We believe that the erosion control line was shifted in the initial installation around a tree. So when we compare the located version to what was drawn on the plan, 100% yes, if I compare the two of them, it looks like we're having passed the limit of work. But again, we think that limit of work was generally approved and adjusted in the field to save a tree. At least that's the story I'm going with, and I'm sticking to it. So from that standpoint, as we come down, again, these are a lot of plans that talk about buffer zone impacts after the natural vegetation is disturbed, where we would be replicating, things like that. The replication area has been installed. Actually, both replication areas have been installed, and I guess I'll go from a standpoint of this plan is probably the biggest, the most changes that have happened. What you'll see is this kind of flips around. So now we have Washington actually running from here, coming down, and then the turn would actually be here. So this is the entrance to the site. And what you'll notice, and this is a profile that lines up. So here is the flat area as it comes into the site. Originally, when this was originally designed, there was a residential component attached to it, or a potential future residential component attached to it. In that, providing an access drive to that residential component put the design and the proposed slopes of this access or this driveway at the time to maximums. And when we removed that residential component, well, those maximums now are maximums, changing in a reuse. So originally, I believe that the max slope was somewhere around 8%. And coming in at 8%, what that did, having to come off the grades of Washington, that had this tangency here staying much shallower. So what happened is you ended up needing more fill. And to combat that fill, what we originally had was a retaining wall, almost the full length of this. And when we were able to remove that component, we were able to steepen that driveway. This is just under 11% here. I believe Kyle mentioned it was going to be approximately 12%, so it's slightly shallower than we initially anticipated. The big difference, along with the steepening of the access drive, is we reduced the amount of pavement. And we reduced the amount of pavement to be this hatching here, which is the first 230 feet or so. And the reason for that is that we wanted to maintain a durable, stable transition or surface on a steep slope. And then we transition to a gravel surface as things migrate and are much shallower. The intent in the design has always been to establish the wetland side of the development and the access as the high point. So any runoff would flow away from the wetland and into our stormwater management areas. So these contours show that it is occurring. There's three tree box filters, which this is the detail on the side. Something that's yet to be done is, well, one, the pavement that's out there, we're asking to reduce in width, again, for a a residential, people coming and going at the same time. Originally, it was approved at 18 feet wide. This is now generally a one-way configuration. We're asking to reduce that down to 14 feet.
And that's the planning board decision, right?
Yes.
Yep.
And is that what's currently on site now? The
No,
14
but that's
feet?
where I'm getting to.
Okay, thank you.
So they put down 14 feet of asphalt, but unfortunately it's a Cape Cod berm, which is a foot thick, and they put that on top of the 14 feet.
Okay.
So there's only 13 feet of traveled way. So this is one of the items that still need to be done. The widening of that asphalt to 15 feet to put the berm on to have 14 feet clear. During that fix of the asphalt, there'll also be speed bumps for all intents and purposes placed at the down gradient edge of each of the tree box filters so that any water that's flowing down that sharp slope will hit the tree box filter, the ramp, excuse me, and be directed directly into the tree box filter for treatment. In the annotated plan that Kyle showed you, originally there was 6 tree boxes on the plan. We reduced that to 3. Those 3 are installed. What we've also done is created a swale up gradient with a natural vegetation. Again, this is all climbing as it comes back up to the Washington Street right-of-way. We've created a natural or cutoff swale for any runoff that generates from the right-of-way in that slope so that it doesn't come across the driveway either, but it does eventually get into our drainage system. As we come down, and something just to mention, this is shown as a flat tangent. We would never design something at a 0%. We fit a best fit to what's actually out there. So from a construction tolerance standpoint, we're still getting the water over. We're not saying that it should be regraded to be perfectly flat. Just want to mention that, and we talked to the peer reviewers about that. So as we continue forward,
Oh, actually,
Yeah.
I have questions on that plan, if you don't mind. So when you widen the road another 2 feet, obviously you can't go towards the replication area, towards the wall, because that's where your guardrails are, you're not gonna move those. So obviously you're gonna have to go towards the tree box filters. Those tree box filters are currently on the edge of pavement, so are those gonna have to move?
no. So right now, the way the tree boxes are constructed out of CMU block, what will happen?
Yes, which is not according to what your plan detail states either, nor the stormwater best management practices.
Material wise?
Yeah, it's supposed to be, that plan detail says a precast concrete, tank.
Okay.
So if it's not what's on there, my suggestion, when I got called, that's what I wanted to plan. I said, what I want on my plan is what's gonna be on site. That's not what's on site, although that's what's on the plan.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So the tree box filters, no, they are constructed out of CMU block to contain the soil media, which is actually where the treatment and what is the BMP. Those blocks are a foot wide, and the base material has actually already been placed. The width of the growth of the asphalt will actually go towards the tree boxes, and that will allow for the pavement to actually pave over the front edge of those tree boxes, so there's a natural continuous flow of hard surface directly into the tree box filter. So no, the left side, the guardrail side, remains exactly the same.
Okay, so you're gonna add 2 feet onto the tree box filter side, where
Gonna
those are
have
currently.
one foot.
You said currently the road is 13 feet wide, you're gonna
I
have to add
said-
15 in order to have the 1 foot curb, so I'm
The
just making
travel-
sure I'm hearing you right, so I heard 2 feet, it only has to be 1 foot wider?
The traveled way
Yeah,
is 13 feet,
yes,
and then there's a foot wide curb. So
Okay.
asphalt is 14 feet.
yes,
We need 14 feet of traveled way, so we need to add an extra foot.
okay. Thank you. One other section on there is you have, on there is a turtle nesting area on site.
Yep.
Is that currently been installed?
No,
Okay, thank you. Do we have an idea of when that will be installed?
as construction wraps up.
Okay,
The Cape Cod berm is only on one side or both sides?
One side. The road is pitched or super elevated as I'm traveling down from left to right.
Okay.
So instead of a crown, traditional crown,
Yeah.
you raise it this way.
Okay. Yeah, again, just trying to go back through her numbers and
Yep.
what you just said, like, want to make sure we weren't talking both sides of the road, so,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
The first,
And why, I'm sorry, just going back to the turtle,
yeah,
wasn't that supposed to be done first? Wasn't that part of what we were talking about, or?
I would assume so, but I don't know the construction sequence. All that's listed on the detailed plans for your replication area. So I don't know what I haven't read through the decisions yet on why it would be installed. I would assume it would have to be installed by now.
I would assume it would have been installed like
I would
pretty soon
assume it
after
would
the
have been installed
culvert,
when they
right?
did the replication area.
If I
Because
can-
now you're gonna, again, I don't do these things, so I
If
don't
I can
know.
interrupt you,
Just a question.
the turtle nesting area is actually on proposed grading, so to install it first is impossible.
Oh, it was
You
it?
need to
Okay.
create the slope before you dig out and put the
Maybe
material.
it's a different job I'm thinking of.
That's
That's
fine.
okay.
So, yeah.
So, a quick question. You said that the tree box filters were reduced from 6 to 3.
Yes,
Can you explain why?
the reduction in asphalt was significant as well.
Because, okay, thank you.
And the peak flow from this.
And what we have up in this hatched area is the first of the replication areas that is installed. And then
And
this
growing.
stippled area here is the turtle nesting area.
Okay.
All right. Continuing on, in this picture, we start to see the crossing, the culvert crossing right here. Upgrading to that is the 48-inch retention area where everything Washington Street side of the culvert is directed towards this retention pipe that's below the surface. There's a line right here that actually backfeeds and comes to a overflow pit, a stone pit that's actually intended to slowly release the storm water to feed the replication area.
Do we have an idea when that's gonna be installed?
It's already installed.
There is a pipe in that property is currently, that is a straight pipe that comes out of the wall, not in that location.
That's not the same thing.
Okay, so I just wondering, I'm just saying, so when do we know when that pipe's gonna go to feed that replication area? I know that stone pit is in, that's been installed. I'm wondering where that pipe's gonna be come out to go into, flow into that.
You're
Or is it
talking-
underground that what goes over to it, or is it above ground?
The pipe from the storage area
Yeah.
to the stone pit
Yeah.
is installed.
It's underground?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
The 4-inch pipe that I believe you're mentioning is the wall drain.
Yes, okay, these
That
are all
drains.
clarifications that I needed. I see them all on site and I have nobody to ask them to, so I appreciate that.
That's that hole there in the kind of the upper left there?
This is
Oh, I'm
a-
sorry. I'm looking at that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
no,
so
you're talking
this
about
is the 48-inch pipe. This
Okay.
here is the culvert.
Yeah.
This is the 2.5-inch, we'll call it a bleeder pipe. This is an inlet from the tree box filters.
Okay.
This hole here is actually, as you come down, there's the swale I mentioned, the cutoff swale comes down into a large gravel area with the beehive inlet grate.
Okay.
And that's right here, that comes into the side of the attenuation pipe. That's what this hole is.
Okay.
This hole here at the far end is actually the overflow pipe that comes to the manhole structure that then has an outlet that's underneath rock at the up gradient inlet side of the tree box filter.
Okay.
Excuse me. As we continue further up, this is where we start to climb to a high point here, passing by the second replication area. We continue to come down. This is a swale that directs the surface runoff from this side back down into into a little settling area prior to going through the culvert. And then from the high point here, we have it come down and get into what we start to see is the large infiltration basin. You'll notice here this hatch area, this is a knob of ledge that was found during installation. So this swale here looks segmented, but what we've done is we've put 2 4-inch pipes from here to daylight them so that the water being conveyed within the swale will enter the pipes and allowed to be continued to go to the basin. In larger storm events, if that occurs and those 4-inch pipes are overcome, this is still on a slope, the inlet gets overcome, and then it runs in the gutter line of the road, which again then discharges into the basin. So the wall of water is still going to the intended design point.
What is the pipe placed through the ledge, or what did you do? They just laid on
No,
top?
they had enough room. But what happens is with the alignment, we're able to actually get the 14 feet of gravel on top of it, but we don't have enough room between the ledge and that 14 feet of drive to actually have an open channel.
Okay.
So it goes from open channel to closed to open again as the geometry bends away.
Both ends of those pipes are daylighted or just one?
Both ends.
Because I've only ever seen one end on site.
Their other side is below stone.
Okay, so
And
it's
that's
a
just
pile
what,
of stone that's
PVC?
there?
Yes.
Okay.
HDP 40, yes.
Okay.
Here's the large basin. As the driveway comes and makes a sweeping turn that comes around, the relocated turnaround area before the slope comes down to a low point and then prior to come up. Now, I believe it was after the redesign, but before Kyle came to you with the marked up plan, one of the comments was the turnaround was actually within the gated area of the solar array. There was direct requests to move that turnaround outside the array. Now, Pat the Hill paved with good intentions. Moving that turnaround down and creating a level area, what that did is it actually dammed up and created a low spot on the right-hand side of the driveway. So this area is a new catchment area, and this has originally, on Kyle's marked up plan, he proposed a new outlet which goes to a submerged level spreader. Through construction, we didn't want to send more uncontrolled stormwater towards the wetlands that weren't in the original design discharge points. So during construction, we actually installed a pipe here that comes back underneath the grade, underneath the turnout, takes a turn and actually discharges into the basin. And what that allowed us to do is the elevations of that pipe, we adjusted this outlet to be more of a T and an overflow. So if you've gone out there, walking down, you'll see a 8-inch vertical pipe. What we've done is we've raised the inlet into that pipe to match the crown or the top of this pipe. So what will happen is any stormwater that runs down into this low spot will naturally infiltrate. If it backs up or it accumulates to a point where it gets to the invert of this pipe, it will flow into the basin where it will be controlled by the control structure at its initial intended design point. And then if this pipe is also overcome, the inlet that Kyle mentioned and is installed, we've turned into a tertiary outlet, true overflow, as a last resort before it overtops the driveway, which, if it overtops the driveway, it's not impervious, it shouldn't cause many problems, but that's the fourth outlet. So,
There used to be a spreader off that basin right back in there.
so that is installed, yep, that's.
I thought
so-
it was more of a.
So it's always been, we'll call it a submerged spreader. So the way these function is the pipe actually comes in tees. This is a solid pipe from the control structure, and then tees into a perforated pipe.
Okay.
And that perforated pipe is actually surrounded by stone. And the theory generally goes that when you have flow in a 12-inch pipe, well, the cross-sectional area is going to dictate the velocity that comes out of it. When we put that in and increase that, well, then the velocity decreases significantly. We're always looking for sheet flow versus channelized flow.
Right.
So what these submerged level spreaders do is allow the water, because the perforations in the pipe are much smaller than the cross-sectional area of the feeding pipe, allow that pipe to hold the water or swell and then let it bleed out the smaller holes so that you don't get the scour and erosion happening. So those are the substantial changes that occurred. As we get into the array, there's no changes within the fences. I don't like going in it, to be honest with you. What it resulted in from hard numbers is, from the proposal of 2017, we increased our gravel. We increased it by around 10,000 square feet. And most of that 10,000 square feet is actually a path within the, if I can get to just the solar array, excuse me. So this here, we actually show a gravel path that comes up so that we can get over to the existing sewer line. Comes over, so that's actually, we included that in our modification of our stormwater calcs that we provided to the planning board. What it does is it actually decreases the asphalt or the impervious area by almost 6,000 square feet
That was asphalt before?
on our proposal of the driveway, sorry, outside of the array now I'm talking an overall development. So
Oh, okay.
overall, so now we have 230 feet of asphalt, and previously we had 550, I believe. Does that sound right?
Okay.
So most of that 6,000 square foot reduction is directly related to how we pulled that asphalt back towards the entrance.
But the gravel inside the array, that's new though, correct?
It's always been proposed.
Okay.
We're taking a most conservative approach in our numbers. The numbers that we provided for the modification to the planning board from a peak rate, originally proposed, we analyzed the 2, 10, and 100-year event. What was approved was actually an increase of 0.2 CFS in the 2-year event, which was directly related mostly to the flow off-site. Due to the decreases that I just mentioned and sending them all to the already designed control points, we've actually, as proposed on this, reduced that 2-year storm back to pre-development conditions. And that's also reduced the 10 and 100-year event, at least the 10-year event from the discharge point to the resource area. So we have a case of the modifications kept to the control points. The numbers actually bear fruit that there's less of a rate going to the resource area and there's less impervious area, all within the same footprint. So I can yammer on and continue, or I can answer any more specific questions the commission might have.
Questions from commissioners? Questions from our agent?
Yes, so, if you wanna pull up plan sheet 4.5, on that plan sheet, it references, plan reference 4 from the title sheet, which is plan dated April 2nd, 2001 for the retaining wall. And that plan sheet is for the retaining wall at the culvert crossing. That plan sheet from 4/2/21 actually references, and I have it right here, actually references the retaining wall at Washington Street. So that plan reference is incorrect. Similarly, there is another plan detailed as far as I think it's the next page, or it might be it's the culvert crossing page, which I think is, I can't remember what plan sheet that is, but that one. There's another plan sheet reference for another plan. Wait, I'm sorry, I mixed it up. So the plan sheet reference for 4/2/21, I don't actually have that plan. That plan, I don't have it in site, so that plan reference on plan sheet 4.5 is a plan reference that I do not have. I do not have that detailed plan. It should be included
Which
with
one
the
is that
packet.
again?
So the 4/2/21 on plan sheet C45, that plan reference we do not have in-house. There is a plan reference, on sheet 4.3 for the retaining wall that references the plan reference on title sheet number 4, which is the plan sheet from the original filing, which is the wrong plan.
So can you just expand on
Yep.
this one?
So, and I'm
about
sorry,
these
this one's, in case, we can go back, because I have a different issue on this plan. If we go back to what I'm discussing, I apologize, I'm messed up. So on this one right here, that where it says retaining wall plan reference,
This one?
yep. So that references plan sheet for plan reference dated April 2nd, 2021. I do not have that plan.
Okay.
So we would need that I just want to make sure what I have for constructed on site for that retaining wall is correct, because of the original plan, that's not what's on site. So if that plan is what's on site, I need to have that as part of this application. When we go to plan sheet 4.3, that one references the plan sheet retaining wall reference to plan number 4 on the title sheet, which is actually from the original plan, and that's for the large retaining wall that was never constructed. So that plan reference needs to either be removed or is mistaken.
Is that the retaining wall coming down from Washington Street?
The one that was proposed that was never installed, yep. That's now brick boulders with the guardrail and concrete mixture that's there. So it's not the plan reference that's on the plan sheet. Then
Is that holding up well?
I saw some rock coming out from underneath one of the boulders the other day, yesterday. I'm not sure if that has been there before.
Pretty well.
But, I mean, if that was how it looked before, then yeah, it's holding up pretty fine. Yeah, it's holding up well. Even the slope and everything on that end is holding up fine. When we go to plan sheet 4.6, the stream bank details, I'm just wondering about those because again, I wasn't a part of this application when it first came through. So when you have that whole detail on the stream bank, is that what's supposed to be inside the culvert or is that supposed to be what's outside? Because neither of those are what's on site.
The quarry log?
Yeah, see the quarry log, and then if you look, it has all those details going up a sidewall, almost like a slope.
Okay.
Currently under that, inside that culvert is riprap, the core logs, and if I follow the plan right, it looks like it's supposed to weave like this, and it's a straight shot. So I just am wondering, am I reading the plan wrong, or is those not what's put on site, or if that is that plan reference not supposed to be there anymore?
So, I'm happy to answer these, but I see that it's on letterhead.
Oh yeah, no, these are just ones I wrote down so I could read my handwriting.
So-
And as we've been going through, I'm like, oh, I can just X some of these off. These are questions that I've had because I wasn't part of the original filing. So as you explain to me and I ask you these questions, I appreciate you answering them because again, I'm like, oh, maybe I'm reading it wrong.
So-
And I have been, so that's fantastic.
In the interest of time,
Yeah.
you could certainly send those to us and we can reply back.
Okay.
'Cause-
Yeah, because and then the only other, you told me the natural nesting area is not done, so that answers that question. And then I have just two others, promise they're quick, on plan sheet 6.1, which has the details of the replication areas. There is on part 5 of the notes, number C and D. C stated that this is your notes, that there would be weekly reports given to the Conservation Commission during planting. Those were not done. Letter D states that there will be 4 reports given to the Conservation Commission within the first year. We have received 1. So it's just a comment on those, on your notes there, that if those reports should be submitted, that they need to be done, so they need to do so. Then there's one other question on plan sheet 7, which has details on slopes and dewatering. The large infiltration basin on site has had water in it and has not been completed. You do have dewatering areas shown on site. On this plan, I just want to know where the dewatering is going to take place on site, because dewatering will have to occur in order to plant, to do that slope. So if I could have a detail on that. And then note 307B gives a detail on the loam that's going to be done when you do the grading. There had been regrading done on site that I noticed yesterday while I was out there. There was some done last week when I was out. That was nice loam. I was on site last week, yesterday. No regrading had been done. I'm just wondering what material was used for that grading.
Okay.
Because it does not appear to match what you have on your plan sheet detail as far as loam or topsoil.
Does not appear as far as.
There's roots, bricks, concrete, and wood chips throughout it. And if you'd like to see pictures of it, I do have them, or we can go out and look at it.
That's not classified as loam, is it?
It's, no.
Well,
Some of the material is biodegradable, some of it is not.
So,
Like a brick.
so 2 things, thank you for all those.
You're very welcome.
A number of those things seem to be more construction related.
Yes.
Rather than amendment related.
They are construction related to, as these plans are supposed to show what's going to be constructed on site at the end of completion.
So if you could send those in the pictures, then we can address those.
Very good, thank you.
So it is supposed to be good loam, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah, according to that plan, she's supposed to be
Yeah.
loam or topsoil.
loam or topsoil.
Can I ask a question concerning reports?
Yes,
So,
I didn't realize they were on that until I reviewed these revised plans. I was like, oh, I don't have those.
and I mean, this is, we didn't necessarily realize they weren't being filed either because, you're managing a project from off-site and then who you put in charge of managing it isn't filing a report. So my practical question is, we are where we are now.
Yep.
If there weren't weekly reports filed, then they haven't been filed. If there weren't 4 reports filed in the first year, they haven't been filed. You just want an updated report
So
currently?
what my suggestion is, so my intent in my response to where he'd asked me, I want these plans to reflect what's done on site. If I were to leave 6 years, someone goes, hey, what happened out on site? They review these notes in further detail than I did. They're gonna say, wait, those weren't submitted. If they're not gonna be submitted, then let's just remove the note.
Okay.
That's my comment, is I want what is on this plan to match what has either been done on site, what's going to be done on site, and what I currently have. If those reports weren't submitted, then the note should be removed.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And it sounds like a lot of your comments were related to notes on plans.
There's notes on plans that shouldn't be there.
Yeah, standard notes that are carryovers from the earlier
Yep.
plans, and they shouldn't be there if they're not
Which,
reflecting what's
if
been
when you
done.
go to the planning board, and if Ken was allowed Ken Diskin was allowed to speak to this plan, he would bring all of these up to you as well.
Yeah, no, I'm sure you will.
But at the same time, I guess the further on this, if your approach now is going to be, well, okay, we'll just take it off. We don't have to submit the reports. I don't think that was really the intent to begin with.
Right.
So if the past reports exist, please let us get them. If they don't exist, we can acknowledge that. We could adjust this to say,
Adjust, yeah.
as of such and such a date, reports will be continued on a weekly basis.
And that's fair, and that's sort of the point I was getting at, that we can't fix what's been done or not been done, but certainly we're here and we can fix it moving forward.
Yep,
Now that
right.
we're involved again, we're engaged again, and we're trying to get the project finished.
Please do. And speaking of getting the project finished, when are we anticipated to complete? Anybody know?
We'll entertain a motion to grant the amended order of conditions.
Realistically, what are you looking at? Once you
Don't look at me.
receive your amended order of conditions, presuming you do, once you receive an amended site plan approval, presuming you do, what are we looking at?
Oh, that's
Project
perfect.
completion,
I would say to you in 2 months,
2 months.
less than 2 months. Pretty much as Heather goes every week,
Yeah.
she sees a lot of progress. Again, there was, weather.
Yeah.
March now or April now we can grow grass. So
Yeah.
all that is there on a weekly basis, and she can tell you more than I can that the site has been changing a lot every week the last 2
Yeah, I
weeks.
looked back at the pictures today and I was like,
Oh,
wow, that's not
looks
that
a lot-
far, that's not a lot of time. And look at the snow there, now it's gone. Oh, that's
yeah.
weird.
So I think
It's
the
brown, now it's green.
plan is to the big bowl is really the big area right now to focus on, and then the turtle nesting area.
You generating yet or no?
No, it's on and off because of testing purposes right now because
Okay.
of murder issues, but that's it.
Okay, that's what I was saying. So grid hasn't, you haven't had a final test with grid and everything yet?
Oh, that we got. Oh, yeah, that part we did with a while ago, but we're just not with talking with the planning board. We're just with Charlie. I told him it's just been testing in and out because there's
Okay.
an inverter problem.
Okay, so your sectionalizers, all that stuff's all put up, set, ready to go, and
Yeah,
grid's clear,
we're
you're
just
done.
ready. Yeah, we're ready to turn on. I mean,
Okay.
Again, it's on off.
Okay, all right. Can we go back to the culvert pictures, the detail? Of the actual culvert, the metal itself? I thought that thing had wings on it.
That would have been the retaining wall.
So the front fascia here has the metal.
Right.
And then the stone actually ties right into each of those edges.
I guess the pictures I saw, isn't this what blew out, like right next to the?
It did,
Over.
and that was installed the first time that the retaining wall was installed. The brick that was put in at an angle with fill behind it, and that's what fell out. When the wall was reinstalled, it was more flat facing right next to it.
Okay, I
So
guess I
it was
just
just,
remember the picture.
there was
didn't look like the flag
yeah,
was
there was a
even there.
gap the first time like this, that they just put a row of of retaining wall bricks, the concrete bricks, and kind of filled in. I'm like, that looks weird. When they rebuilt it, it's a lot. It's tight all the way through.
Okay, okay.
And that's why I want the details of that, just to ensure that what's on site there matches what my plans show, because I don't have details of that retaining wall.
And where the, where it's not clean loam, that's around the replication area?
No, it's actually from the second replication area all the way through, off and on, until you get almost to where that second stone barrier with the infiltration under the road is. There's a section there that had clean fill put in on the, I noticed on the 3rd. We went out yesterday. From that section all the way around is where it appears to have debris. I don't know what to call it, because unclean fill has the criteria,
Right.
and it doesn't necessarily meet all 3 of the criteria, but it's not a screened loom, we'll say.
Is that something we want a remedy for? Or?
Have you seen this? You haven't?
I mean, it's coming right now in Hay, and
I mean, I
I
can pull
got
up the
Cindy coming
pictures,
tomorrow.
but yeah, it's
address
literally
that.
just sticks. There's some large rocks and concrete.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Today, so if you can tell me where that is. Or
Yeah,
if you
I can show you.
Send me a picture. No, just send me a picture.
Yeah, oh yeah, I can show you
Because
pictures. And,
tomorrow morning I'm going to
Rihanna
walk with
noticed
him.
it as well when we were on site.
Yeah, Rihanna didn't tell me about the cement block. She told me.
Yeah, there was a large cement block at the end of, right at the, because what seemed to happen when they graded it is everything that was dirty ended up at the hay bales. So all the sticks and it was weird. I was trying to dig through it to be like, is this the wood chips? Did the wood chips come
No,
here?
it's
Because there
not.
seems to be a lot of wood chips, like pieces of wood in it, which I know is a natural material and will decompose, but this is something supposed to be stabilizing a slope that I'm afraid is not going
Okay, I'll
to
go
do that.
again. I'll find
Where-
it tomorrow.
Yeah, especially where this site, where it was, already had the coconut matting on, so it was stable. Now it's been then regraded, so it's like, well, it was stable, so what did we do?
Oh, because you remember it was.
Yeah, it was steep, yeah, but it was
comments from the
growing,
planning
it was
board
stable,
and-
made it all through all
Yes.
winter, and then come out and like, oh, no.
That was one of the comments from Dan was it's too steep in this area.
Yeah.
So.
No, and
it
I understand that, but it's one of those things, you're like, oh, nice stable site, it's good to grow.
It was
it's not good,
stable,
man.
but-
And then you go out and you see it all regraded, and you're like, what kind of fill is this? What is this going to do? And it just makes you nervous.
If you have the photos that you can email even tonight after the meeting's over, because you're only around in the morning tomorrow.
Then I'm meeting
So
with him
if-
7:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
Yeah, so if he has
I
those,
can,
you
I
can-
can.
Or you can text them to me.
I can try to do it. So I misplaced my work phone
Okay.
at some point today, but I can try to do it before I leave here.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
So you have a lot of information that you need, you're requesting.
Yeah, there's some changes to it's just some notes changes and a plan detail that we need. And then my request too, the planning board with their peer reviewer is going through the stormwater. A lot of the concerns I have is with the construction of the stormwater and making sure that works in the calculations, that it's all being peer reviewed. So obviously we'd want to wait until that peer review has been done.
Okay.
Because everything, the majority of the site is it's in the buffer. There's only, once you get to the solar array, there's a small section that's outside of it. There's one detention basin that's in the solar array that's in our jurisdiction. Everything else in the array is out, but everything outside of it is.
The planning board is the 23rd,
23rd,
and we're the 25th.
yes.
You want to go out there and take a look again? You want to do a site walk?
I mean, if you guys want to go out and take a look at it, I think it'd be worth you going out to see the changes that have been made.
She wants the peer review.
So that's entirely up to you if you want to see it prior to, going into a second meeting. I think it'd be beneficial to see the changes that have been done on site. But
Wanna see it?
that's up to you
Never
guys.
actually been there, so probably,
You should see it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Jess, you up for it?
Yeah.
Yes. This coming Saturday?
Do you want to be there though?
I've seen it a ton.
Yeah, he went out with the planning
He's
board.
been
Not
there.
that long ago.
But you see a lot of the changes.
Yeah, the wall has
I've
been
seen a lot of
completely-
good
The wall has
changes.
been completely rebuilt since I think the last time you were out.
Good, that's great.
Yeah,
No, I
It
trust
always-
you all. If you,
helps a little bit.
So could we actually move that to this weekend? Unfortunately, we're not able to accompany you.
okay.
There's a day of the week next week or even the following weekend.
The following weekend?
Depends on what time.
So let me continue a little bit more.
Yep.
We're not expecting the peer review comments much before the planning board meeting on the 23rd. So by the time we get those, digest them, and then prepare something to have a fruitful conversation, I don't think it's going to be the following 2 days later on the 25th.
Okay.
So
Should we do it the Saturday after that, our next meeting, maybe?
if you would like, you know, if that's the normal date.
And I guess our further suggestion would be, obviously you're going to continue this, not to continue it till the 25th, because
Right.
we're gonna meet 2 days prior, 48 hours prior with the planning board, and they may have some comments, and we may have to adjust the plans, we may have to get them more information, we may have to go back and forth with the peer review consultant, so maybe continue out a month till your subsequent
eighth.
meeting, to
Right.
the 8th, and hopefully by then, we ideally would be ready to close.
Okay.
Give some flexibility and schedules to get out there. And,
Appreciate that.
and also, we're using the same plan set. So we would want to make sure we're all right with getting to a point with one board to say we're going to continue until we're all right with the second board, and then have both close and reference the same plan as well. So
Okay.
even more of a reason to kind of drag it out.
Agreed.
So the site walk would be,
Memorial Day weekend.
I don't think so.
As I said,
Flexibility.
And the one after that.
3rd.
Yeah, so we could do it.
Oh, as long as it's early, I can do the 3rd.
June 3rd?
6/3, okay.
As long as it's early, I can do that day.
How early?
I don't know. My sister and I are taking my niece to the ballet for her birthday.
6:30.
So I'm usually up at
6:30?
7. My kid gets up-
AM?
my kid gets up at 4 or 5:30. So
I can do it.
I'm similar to
Good with that.
I'm up.
6:30.
Jess, 6:30?
I could do it if I had to.
You'd still be
I
up.
don't have yoga anymore.
No, as long as it's before 10, I'm good.
It's
8 o'clock?
8 o'clock, 8 a.m., good?
8 o'clock, June 3rd?
I'll take a nap before I get there.
Yeah, there you go. Think of all the stuff you'll be able to get done before we get there, right?
Oh, I said
Little.
on Wednesday mornings I get back to the office. I have sometimes already 3,000 steps by 9 o'clock.
Okay.
And then
Good.
we'll also continue to the 8th. you said?
Yes.
Yeah.
Continue to the 8th, site walk, 6/3, 8 a.m.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good. Looking forward to it.
And I'll be at the planning board meeting, so that's good.
And then, if you could send those emails.
I will. I will send the
Thank you.
pictures and my comments to you.
This Saturday and then.
This Saturday, it's like super late, you don't have to be there.
Anything else, gentlemen?
No, that's all for tonight.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good to see you all.
Thanks.
Oh, let me get you your thing.
Have a great night.
Yeah.
Safe travels.
Good night.
Tomorrow, I guess.
Is there a motion to continue the public hearing? Request for amended notice of intent, DEP, file number 100-0444, until June 8th.
Second.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was the DEP number?
Yeah.
444.
DEP
444.
0444.
Okay. I only heard 2 4s, that's what confused me.
Yeah.
So all in favor?
I.
All opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
June
Take
8th.
care.
What else is on the agenda? I couldn't get to the first page.
You can show up at 6:30.
I'm gonna ride my bike.
Just updates. Yeah. I didn't want to put too much on there. I did not know how long that was going to take.
It took long enough.
Yeah.
I've driven, I'm almost,
All right.
I might get yelled at, so. do like a shot. Yeah.
Conservation Office updates.
I don't have too much. I spent a lot of my time reviewing
Yeah, I'll bet you
air
did.
solar.
Well
4
done,
times.
by the way. Well done.
4 times. I went through that, and I wrote my notes several times, making sure I caught them all. So I appreciate you guys putting up with me with all those. The only thing we have, and I received everyone's comments in regards to what we can do with the extra money from the grant. I need to try to figure out quotes and amounts for some of those, and then run that through them for approval. So I might have to.
So are you thinking for?
We might have to put like a priority on that, because I don't think everything that everybody wants to do we're gonna get with like the $1,300 we have left over, because I would just like to see the property signed If you don't live in town, I mean, I know it's Pine Meadow because I worked in town for so long, everyone tells you where it is. You don't know, and you drive by, you just see a trailhead sign, like, what is this?
Right.
Right. So
I'd
that's
like
what I
to
was
s-
confused.
I would like
do
to
you want
see, like you
the
see.
big blue pine metal signs that we just had made?
No,
and
no,
one or
well,
two
if
of
you know
those
when
are,
you
or what do
you go like Groton has them, we have in Pepperell. They're like the wooden carved signs that say "Town of whatever, such and such conservation land." I would like to see something like that there, and then on the opposite side of the street to be like parking sign, because obviously that's the parking for it, right? That we're allowed to use, to have that just kind of designated so people know.
I guess the only thing I'm confused about is that to get the grant, we had to put all those different emblems on that.
Yeah.
So we'd have to do that on everything you're discussing, or you're talking about too.
Yeah.
That's kind of their stipulations.
Oh, okay.
They have to have at least two of those
See,
things.
these are things I did not know.
Right. Yeah, so you got to have at least, because we didn't, what did we have? We just had we had the heron, right? And the QR code, and we thought, hey, this is great. And they're like, no, we got to put our stuff. We gave you the money, so we want some accolades.
Yeah, so that's the whole point too. So if we have to do that and we're looking at doing kiosks, then we're gonna have to have those somewhere on that as well. Which
I'm not saying
those
it's a
things
bad thing.
No,
I'm
it's
just saying
not a
that,
bad thing.
yeah.
You know, the signs I'm thinking of, that would not work. But that's what I'm saying when I'm saying signs for it. Just everybody knows that you see those wooden post signs that say, you just know, oh, that's conservation land. You don't even have to read what's on there. You see that. That's what everybody has,
Yeah.
except for us. So that's a whole other story. We can do that with CPC money. So that's not a big deal. And I already have a contact with someone who can actually probably make those signs.
So,
Sorry.
for what you're talking about,
Yes.
let's put a scenario out there. So you want people to be able to see it when they're driving by? Mm-hmm. Now you get into the whole DOT thing.
Oh, because it's going to be
It can't be advertising, and if it's got to be this, it's got to be that, it's got to be certain.
Is it become a DOT thing when it's a town road?
Yeah. Wait,
Still does.
really? If they're not,
Stand.
Well,
or
I take that back.
DPW issue, isn't it?
right, it would be a DPW issue if it's not a town road, but then this is kind of where the state person told us, like, well, every road is really a state road. And so we were kind of challenged.
Well, I mean,
And then this is where we started having the discussion with Jeff Tillotson about the sign bylaw and what needs to be done. So we'd have to make sure that's approved by that.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just a problem. We just go into the building commissioner and say, hey, I want to put this sign up like every other town has for their conservation land. Do you have an issue with it? And he'd be like, no. I'll ask what other towns have done, because that was what I was going to do anyway, because I was going to figure out where they got their signs made too, because they all look the same. They all came from most likely the same place, but with the emblems that's caused that out. And so then the question becomes, are they going to allow us to use their funds for trailblazing at the same time? Because that's another one of the big concerns that we need to do on that property.
Yeah, now, again,
Yeah,
don't,
you looked
don't
at-
rule out your sign though, because I mean, I like this,
Yeah.
your idea of the sign. And again, just because we got what we got, doesn't mean that there's not other things, right? So that emblem could be something like this, that just gets screwed onto that wood thing you're
Yeah.
talking about. Okay, so,
Okay.
I mean, there's other options, I think.
I just
we
think,
just
I
need
just
to-
think because it'd be the easiest way to use that money, because obviously the whole money was to use to get people to notice that we have the waterways, right? Well, if one of the waterways, or two of them essentially, are in Pine Meadow, wouldn't it be easy to get that commission to grant more additional, the funding to put signs out to point people to the property of which these signs are located? Which was my thought of it. I'm like, what can we do that would fall under the realm of what they do that would do that? Trailblazing, yeah, that's fantastic, but that doesn't fall into their realm of items. So that's the reason I was thinking, if we could put signs there, or even maybe a bench. I mean, that would probably too, because then you'd sit at a bench at the pond.
Sitting at a bench looking at pre-natural river water.
Yeah, I mean, that probably would work too. I'm just trying to think of what I can ask for that falls under the realm of what their grant is for.
Okay.
And that's why I was like, okay, sign would work, because that brings you to the location where the original signs are. So that's helpful.
Yeah.
And then thinking out loud, oh yeah, a bench, that would be helpful. I mean, not that there's a sign where a bench would go, but I mean, we could, I guess, put a leaning post next to the
Yeah.
sign.
So that, I was thinking, just going back with the signs that we have and just having some more produced.
Yeah,
I was thinking, do we want to put like one on the other side of Pine Meadow, like from a different access point? So if somebody was over there, who was not from the area, didn't know what the pond was, they'd see it on the other side.
you mean like
Something.
an
On the
Autumn Ridge?
conservation lot.
Yeah, be it Autumn Ridge, be it coming in
Well, actually,
from,
by that bridge, by the Boy Scout bridge.
We have
well, that's where we put it.
We do?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Well, no,
I'm saying
it's
if you
not.
come in from, is it Oak Ridge?
Oak Ridge, yep.
And you
Yep.
follow up the east side of the pond, something up there. I've never been up there, so I have no idea where, but maybe you have, so I don't know. But
so our current one is by that,
By the new Boy Scout bridge.
Not the first one, the one by the kiosk.
yeah, the one where we took the picture.
yeah, but I thought that was, as you just go down from the road, like a couple hundred feet?
Nope.
No.
No,
The V thing.
right back in.
Yeah.
So when you get to the, you kind of get to the opening, the nice new bridge is there.
Yeah.
You have the kiosk kind of to the left.
Oh,
If you
yeah.
Turn like
Yeah, we
180
gotta get you one
degrees
too.
Yeah.
and look out.
Okay,
We kind of stuck it there.
okay.
It's where the beaver dam blew out. along the-
Yeah, I thought, because I wasn't with you when you guys installed it, I thought we were doing it close to Groton Harvard Road where you come down and then there's that little trail juncture.
I know what you mean, but yeah, no.
We didn't do
Yeah.
it there? Okay.
But that would be, we could do one there though, too. Right, so I guess that's an option. I don't want to litter the forest with all these signs, but,
Yeah.
does it
Yeah.
make sense to put one there? Maybe just one on the west side? One coming down from the north? Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, I could see
That's
having
all I was
one
thinking.
coming down from, but to your point, if we could get different signs that meet my thought of just naming where we are, right? Or updating the kiosks, which bring you to these ponds too. I think both of those ideas could probably fly through them. I just gotta figure out what the cost of those would be and how we'd get those made.
Yeah, I think if we could really upgrade those kiosk signs.
Because then we can put information on there about the ponds.
Yeah, and if it
Along
had
with the
some
trail
sort
map.
of, if we could have it with like a protective cover so
Yeah.
things would not degrade, but we could then get into and update things would be good.
Those
Something
are-
that would last a while.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of those things, I'll be honest with you.
Okay, how come?
Pain in the neck.
I was like, every time I go to conservation land, especially with my kids, that's the first thing they do is they go run to those and look at the map to figure out which trail we're gonna take.
But you don't have to have a kiosk to put a map.
But it's where you're gonna put the map that it's not gonna get ruined.
Make it out of aluminum, make it a
Yeah,
map
but then
that you
you
can have
have,
out in the weather.
but then you have something that can't be amended.
Well, you can amend it with stickers.
Why would you amend it?
Oh, if anything were to change
Yeah.
on site.
When the dam blows out.
Or we get really lucky and somehow someone just gives us a bunch of land next to it and it gets bigger.
Yeah.
So if you did do a kiosk, I guess,
Yeah.
like I said, if you just envision
Yeah,
the four emblems that are across the bottom,
Yeah,
let's
just
say,
this
or
little-
we could even take out the QR code or leave the QR code there. But we could probably get something that's made like that is just the lower section.
Mm-hmm.
And like maybe affix that inside or
Yeah.
on the outside of that
Yeah.
wood thing you're talking about. So I'm sure, the Liddell or whatever, they probably have other type signs, right? If you turn it upside down and make it
Yeah.
a one-way sign or something like that, they could put it on any sort of
yeah.
standard imprint, I would assume. So,
Old mile
just some
marker
options, I
signs.
suppose.
'Cause those are
Yeah,
skinnier.
right, like a mile marker thingy,
Yeah.
just something like that.
It's all good stuff.
Okay.
And how much is left? 1,300?
I think it's something like that. I think we only use like half.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, if I would to price out everything we want and then see what we could apply to this grant.
Yeah.
And then what's left, we can.
Yeah, I
try
think
for
it's, I have to get, the
CPC.
thing is I have to find amounts too. It's like, I have no idea how these things cost.
Benches, I would go with,
I could see them allowing benches because then again, that helps you, enjoy the waterway.
Accessibility.
Accessibility, on that. So I'm like, okay, that's easy. And we already have a perfect location. You have that lookout, like just down the hill. Like that's the perfect spot to put one because it's already clear.
yeah.
And it's not far to bring the materials in and build it on site, right?
There used to be a little squatter lean-to there years ago.
Yeah. Well, then we'll just give him a bench to sleep on.
Well, no, I want a bench with the arms that every few inches so that people can't lay down on it. I want people to get comfortable.
For sitting, not for sleeping.
Okay, I'll kind of hatch out a plan and figure out a rough price for things and then see if they ask me for quotes or not. We'll see.
I didn't catch it. Did they say like how quickly you needed to provide that, like back before they start deciding against things or what? Or?
No, they want it as soon as possible. So
Of course.
yeah. So I'll hash out something and give it to them. I think they just met this last week, so if I get it to them this week, then they won't meet for a little while. So we'll be okay. I have a little while to figure it, hash it out.
Yeah.
I figured worst case scenario, I could always just run down to Moore's and figure out, okay, how much is 2x4s? If we had to build a kiosk, okay, so it would be this, and then factor someone's labor, and I could just guess. I mean, that was my always thought too.
You got cheap labor.
Thank goodness I got my hernia fixed.
Well, no, I'm just thinking like, just as an idea, like not saying we're gonna build it, but like it's just as a rough idea, like what it would cost, right? Like you just
Got
cost of
Mr.
materials
Furniture
plus a
guy.
percentage
So-
and labor.
Yeah.
So
Woodworker.
I guess just a thing to think about, right?
Mm-hmm.
A day's labor of 1 or 2 people, that's $1,000. So
I
know.
I'm pretty much done,
I know.
you know, so.
Yeah, I
That-
know.
And that's basically what we ran into with when we first put the proposal out there. It's like, wow, it's going to cost a lot. Okay, we're going to need $5,000.
Boy, we
And
do
then it was
ourselves,
like,
yeah.
this is getting ridiculous.
On the side note on that, with Air Solar 2 being continued to the 8th, do any of you feel it's too quick to try to bring people in here to discuss the land
Friends.
stewardship for Friends? I have a list. I can send the email out tomorrow. Do you think it's too quick to try to get people in here in 2 weeks, or do you think we can do it?
We
Wait,
could try.
well, wait, is that right before Memorial Day
It
weekend?
is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because you might have people traveling or going to be traveling the next day and don't want to go to a meeting.
So that that's why I didn't say anything, because I wanted to see how Air Solar went before we scheduled the date. Now that it's being continued.
I would otherwise say we could, but
I guess put into June.
Okay. Because if all we have is so far is just
As he said, he's going to have
Air
2 more
Solar
months before he's done. Then
Yeah.
you'll probably never get a hold of him.
okay. Okay. That's basically it.
Is that it for you?
That's it.
Anybody else?
oh, I read an interesting article I can send to you. You know, the whole green burial issue. Well, you get the Week magazine, right? Did you see the article on, instead of green burials, turning bodies into soil? Some states now allow human composting.
That's awesome.
What, they put you in a chipper?
Lanya.
Environmentally friendly way of burying people, where you turn human remains into rich soil by a process known as natural organic reduction. Takes roughly 2 months to decompose a body, but producing soil which loved ones might use to plant flowers, vegetables, or trees.
Anybody ever see Secret Window? Or read that?
Too
That's
much.
exactly what that is.
Totally do that.
Yeah, I still got banana peels from last year.
Exactly.
And I'm sure
I still got banana peels from last year in my pile.
you can donate
Wow.
your body to like the University of
Why would I do
Tennessee, and
that?
they put you in this thing so the students can study body decomposition for
Oh.
murder scenes.
Oh, really?
That's in North Carolina, isn't it?
University of Tennessee does it in Knoxville.
Oh, is it Tennessee? Okay.
It's probably, I'm sure there's multiple
Yeah, the body
places.
farm.
Yeah. I thought
Yeah.
that was really cool.
It is neat.
Like this, I'd be the 6-month dead corpse in the
It doesn't
corner.
take that long.
I don't
Week, 2.
So they found cats were breaking in and digging them up and back.
probably. That's a femur. Not a...
Yeah. Well,
Anyway, yeah,
I
send that
you-
to me.
I
That's cool.
sent- I took a photo of the page before I passed my copy on to somebody.
Oh,
So, turning bodies into soil. So you got it. That was it.
I forget what day it was, but Heather and George
Oh
and I
yeah,
went
Catania.
to Catania to look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. It was last
Oil spill?
It was Tuesday.
It was Tuesday?
It was a Tuesday.
Yeah. And they spilled 7,000-ish gallons.
6,500 gallons.
6,500 gallons, and they think they might have caught 1,000 or so. So the rest of it's moving into the wetlands area. It's gone across, has it gone across the tracks?
They have booms set up across the tracks. I, oddly enough, got a phone call from a woman who lives in Littleton, but you have to go through Ayer to get to her house.
Yeah.
She's one of those.
Yeah.
Over there, and she thought she saw something, so I sent that, because there is an LSP on site that, due to the spill, that the state requires you to have on site. So they have an LSP on site that's overseeing the whole cleanup, and they went and investigated it. Her main concern was if it was gonna harm her water. And I said, no, it's biodegradable, it's actually clean. And she's like, and oddly enough, even peanut allergy won't affect you. She's like, oh, okay.
So it's peanut oil?
Peanut
is
oil.
what's
Yep.
called? Okay.
It was peanut oil.
Peanut allergy would not be affected?
No, according to the president of Catania, it's like so hyper clean that there's no allergens in it. That's what I thought. It smells like peanuts. Like, you guys are out there, you can smell it. Just
It's-
walking around the wetlands, you can smell peanuts when you
Got
get close
hungry.
to. What?
I got hungry. Peanut butter.
So if they still have like 5,500 gallons out there, they're trying to clean that
They're
out.
cleaning it out.
They're
Yeah.
removing
So
that.
they're
Clean
doing.
Harbor, or what's?
It was, Clean Harbors is out there cleaning it, so they have a licensed LSP, EPA, we met with EPA and DEP. DEP sent us a letter, I think this week, stating the amounts of the cleanup and the responsibility and the fees and fines that they were being issued, and the details of the cleanup. Next week, members of the town departments in here are gonna meet with Catania, because there's gonna be a long-term, obviously, it's gonna be a long-term cleanup and a long-term plan to ensure this doesn't happen again, and if it's so, how do we tackle it?
Yeah.
Because what they're looking at doing for the long term is at their outlet. What happened was, it was a faulty valve on one of the train cars. So when they removed it, it spilled out. They have trap rock in a basin inside their rail yard. They thought they got it all. It obviously leached out.
Yeah.
And what happened, because the wetlands are so close, it gets into the groundwater every time it rains. It just
Yeah.
starts bubbling up. And that's
Could we
what
see the
occurred.
DEP letter?
Yeah, I'll forward the DEP
Yeah.
letter on to you guys. Yeah, that's fine.
So are they gonna have to re-engineer their
What they're going to be doing is their outlet.
containment? or
What they have is their outlet. They're going to keep boom in a stockpile on a town easement. So that's what they're coming to the town to get approval for that. They'll be coming to conservation for approval for this too. It'll be one of those, like, the West Main Street, their mill, their hydropower, almost kind of like an ongoing order of conditions type of thing is how I envision this going.
Oh, okay.
So they'll keep boom on site. So if the spill happens, they can automatically put it out, and they'll have a testing, so they can periodically test their outlet to make sure nothing is leaking into that pond. So it's gonna be an ongoing
Yeah.
testing treatment that they're gonna have on site moving forward. As part of their cleanup, they do have monitoring sections in the water to ensure that the oxygenation levels in the pond don't go down due to the
Yeah.
it's not decomposing, but it's just stuck in my head now,
Yeah.
of the peanut oil.
Yeah, the degrading or.
Degrading.
Degrading. So they're coming to us with a notice of
Yeah,
intent?
they'll be
at some
coming to
point?
us with a notice of intent at some point
Yeah.
for that.
Okay.
And they're probably gonna have to come to us because their 30 days is gonna run up soon for their cleanup.
But they're on it. I mean, they're working.
Oh, yeah, they're out there working,
Yeah.
monitoring it constantly.
And the good news, I mean, it's not like it's diesel oil out there. At a certain
Yeah.
point, it's just
Yeah,
gonna break
the
down
only,
and
it's
be
the
gone.
only issue on it was what could it possibly do to the oxygen level in the pond, which is why they're monitoring that.
Yeah.
And one of the guys that was there, I mean, they were saying that the concern was obviously for wildlife, ducks, getting-
Birds.
birds and fish too, with the reduction of oxygen and whatever. And they said that they haven't seen any signs of any of that so far. So that's good news.
Yeah, that was, what, a week ago,
Yeah.
Tuesday? Yeah.
Week in a couple of days.
Yeah.
And you would think that with something like that happening, that they would require them to have some sort of a temporary spill containment, basically.
Which they have, and that's what happened was it obviously leaked out. So there's a flaw, and the same thing with I think I asked DP, what is the procedure going forward? Are we gonna do a whole new like emergency action plan? Like what's good? He's like, oh no, they already have one. I go, well then how come I didn't find out about this for 4 days? Like they found out when it happened on April 20th. I found out that Tuesday. Rio went out on the following, it was this weird, like, it was almost a lapse in who should be notified, and I just feel like that, in my head, that plan needs to be updated, so when we meet with everybody next week, I'm probably gonna mention that.
So that's the town's emergency action plan?
No, that's
Or
Catania's.
Catania's,
Yeah.
okay.
That was part, I think, when they got all their permits, they had to create that, which it's automatically, they contact police, fire, and I think possibly DPW. It doesn't include conservation, it includes the state, it obviously, but doesn't necessarily include the local. And I think that's where it's like, well, you need to sit. When I was out on site and I first met them, I go, did you contact the Board of Health? They go, yeah, we contacted DPH. I go, I understand you contacted the Department of Public Health. Did you contact the local Board of Health?
Yeah.
No. I go, well, you need to do that. So there's that lapse where they're contacting on the state level and they're not bringing down to the town level.
Yeah, that would be good.
Or assuming that
Assuming
we
the
would be
state's-
notified
yeah.
by the state. That's
Or
like,
assuming I'm being notified by the fire department, well, they get notified and they get a fire to go out to. It's the last thing that they're gonna think of, right? It should just be a chain of command. And I think it's just a matter of updating that. But they are working their hardest to get that cleaned up.
Yeah, then another issue too is that pond is, what, 20 feet from the railroad?
Oh, not even.
It's dropping gunk all the time?
Yeah, not even. And that was the issue too, is they actually, how to get to clean it up because they only have literally almost 1 or 2 access points. They can't get to the other side because the railroad's right there. So there was some oil on the railroad track side, and they're trying to figure out how they can access it from across the pond while cutting vegetation without making any sort of more disturbance of cutting vegetation to get the boat out to remove the oil.
It's a hard cleanup.
Yeah, it's a tricky one.
so what I'd like to know then is, okay, so this is peanut oil. Maybe that works out to be an okay thing. What's all the other
Oils that
that they take care of?
Okay.
And which ones of those might be dangerous? And what's
That's-
the cleanup plans and such for those?
That is a good thing to ask when we meet with them next week.
All those imported
Like avocado oil.
olive oils.
I don't trust avocado oil.
EEVO, whatever.
Even
Sunflower oil,
Extra virgin.
coconut oil, like all these things. Saffron.
Coming from Portugal and Chile and Peru and getting all mixed together, creating a delicious blend.
Mark only wants American oil.
Well, they have an Italian flag outside their building, so you might want to rethink that. Okay, yeah, that's a good question. I will ask that when we meet with them next week.
Yeah, because honestly, I don't know what else.
I mean, I
I
have-
know they basically it's all just food stuff, but
Yeah, is it all?
What if it's something else
Is it all
that-
considered biodegradable? Is it all
Right,
considered
exactly.
like not so hazardous? That's a good question.
yeah,
Because I would have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I will ask that question
I
next
like
week.
to think it is, but who knows?
Okay. I got one more thing to talk about, but I'm not gonna do it tonight, so it's getting too late, so.
So I gotta try to send them pictures.
And I'm trying to decide, do I have to go to a new page or not? So,
Looks like you,
I guess not.
do I-
motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously.